तुम्हारा बचपन कहाँ गया?
क्या है, I must go back a little. We originally, as you know, belong to a place called Tiruchi, which is in Tamil Nadu. That's where I was born. But then, just as I was completing 1 year, we met with a major accident, a train accident, where hundreds of people perished, but we were saved. So my father decided to shift to Mumbai lock, stock and barrel, and he used to head the JK group of companies. Yes, my childhood memories is related to a bungalow, and we used to live in Kurla, and we had a beautiful bungalow with a huge garden in the front. So yes, the childhood were spent in a bungalow.
What happened to that accident? How did it occur and how were you saved?
Long story. I think we were traveling from Chennai to Trichy. This was when I was hardly a little more than 1 year. And bulk of it is hearsay because I was a child to realize what happened. The story goes like we were to board the train at Chennai, and it was a night train. So you board at say about 10:30 in the night, and which will reach Trichy at about 5 o'clock in the morning, and somebody will come to the station and pick you up. That was the plan, and it was my mother, my elder sister, who was 4 years elder to me, and me as a child. So the person who came to the Chennai Egmore station to see us off realized that the compartment in which we were actually booked was very lonely. There was no other passenger. So he identified there was a compartment a little behind which had a lot of people in it, and they were actually singing bhajans. So he thought, lonely lady with 2 children, they'd be a good company. So he took the decision of actually not allowing us to board the compartment in which we were booked, but made us board the other compartment. But there was a bhajan group, and I'm told that they were singing Vitthal. So maybe that connected me to Vitthal, which I was just 1 year old. So the train started, and a little before Trichy there is a place called Ariyalur, and this Ariyalur is a completely barren land, and there was a river which is actually not a river in the true sense. Some rivers in Tamil Nadu suddenly have floods, so these are called Katar.
Yeah.
Somewhere there's a heavy rain and suddenly the river has a lot of water to flow. So it seems that the bridge which was above the river was a little weak, and as the train moved over it, the bridge collapsed. I'm told that roughly there were about 300 passengers in the train. The whole thing was completely destroyed, including the engine, the compartments which were behind. Everyone was washed away in that water, and there was a gory sight. And this happened, if I recall rightly, in the year 1956 on the 23rd November or thereabouts. And the accident was so tragic, was one of its kind in India. And that was the time when our Lal Bahadur Shastri ji was the railway minister. And he took personal responsibility for the accident, and he actually resigned from his post. But that's on the aside. We were all caught in the accident, and none of us knew what actually happened because it was all pitch dark all around, and a lot of moans and shoutings from all over, and nobody actually knew what had happened. Many people were stuck in the slush. Some people were still in the compartment, with a lot of grievous injuries. But I was told that somebody came with a lantern, lantern, that small thing which burns with kerosene and wick. And in that darkness, they identified that the 3 of us, some more people, maybe about another 5-6 people, were not hurt. So somebody came there with a lantern, and he asked us to come with him. So we walked back to the earlier station, and as luck would have it, the station master was a student of my grandfather, Ganesh Shastrigal, who was the headmaster of the largest school in Trichy called National High School. And I think I should say that it was just providence that a person known to us was the station master. He immediately gave us all the facilities to rest or whatever. And in the meantime, there was an absolute pandemonium in Trichy because it was a major accident. And in Trichy, the announcements were made that this accident has happened, and everybody wanted to know what happened. And so I think that they read out the list of passengers and the compartment in which we were supposed to have traveled. It was announced that there is no surviving passenger. And as a result, my grandfather, my grandmother, all the close relations, they all got panicky and they were, yeah, and they thought it's all gone. And my father was in Bombay at that point of time, and I'm told that he came from the office. So by the time it came in Bombay, the news came in Bombay, it was already almost evening. This happened early in the morning. And in the evening, he just went on to the Cotton Green railway station, which was close to the company that he was heading, a company called New Kesara Mills. And he read the news that this accident was there, and he just fainted, fell down on the platform. And in the meantime, there was a desperation to at least claim the bodies. So someone suggested, why don't we go to the accident site, try and see how they can be, at least the body can be retrieved. They came to the site where the accident had taken place, but it was such a gory, blood all around and cut limbs strewn around and headless bodies. You can imagine how an accident site would look at. Yes. And by that time, that water had flown off, so all the compartments were stuck in the muck.
Some were hanging from the bridge hose.
Absolutely, and it was a terrible sight. So the question was, how do they identify? Because hundreds of bodies lying, how do you identify who is your relation? In just a nick of the time, when they almost gave up, because in our system, it's very important to do antim sanskara, whatever that may happen, but ultimately you have to perform that ritual so that the soul would be comfortable. But they just couldn't find, and that's when, just when they left the place out of desperation, somebody said, no, there is a lady and 2 children who are taken to the next station. So my grandfather and my grandfather's younger brother, Narayana Shastri, ran to that station, and much to their delight, they found that we were absolutely all right. Not a scratch on the body. Imagine such a terrible accident. And all 3 of us just sitting there and sipping a hot cup of coffee. And my grandfather just didn't know what to do, whether to cry or to laugh or to hug or to thank God. And we are a very spiritual, devout family, and we have always trusted God. So ultimately, they all met.
But
and
who was that man?
That's a mystery. But that mystery got answered, because lifelong I have been searching for answers, because my life has always been a bunch of unexpected turns and events. And I always used to wonder, why am I today dedicated to Lord Vitthal? Why do I sing his Abhangs? I am a South Indian, which has nothing to do with Pandharpur or Maharashtra. And here I am today with almost 500 Abhangs thrown part, which Maharashtrian I have not seen anyone do with that level of passion. So it's always a mystery as to why did you, what connected you to do all this. So to answer your question, it was also my search as to who was that person with the lantern who came to save us. And as you would know, we are all strong devotees of Jnanananda Swamigal of Tapovanam. And there was one detail which one of the persons said, that he was with a Kavi Vastram. Now Kavi Vastram only a saint would wear. So it was a saffron robe. So the person said the person who came with the lantern wore a saffron robe. So this was constantly bothering me as I grew up in life, as I became professionally successful. One always wanted to leave back the old memories, the childhood memories, especially such detailed ones. And I went through the net, and to my utter surprise, I found 2 major answers. One was, who was the person who saved us? And as things would happen, there was a small village called Kallakuri, very next to the Dalmiyapuram area, where the earlier station was, and that is where Jnanananda Swami used to be there.
Correct.
In that year of 1956.
But we realized this much later.
Far later. I mean, in recent times.
Yeah, about 15, 20 years ago.
Not even that. I would say about 8 years ago, that when we went through the Google details. Then we visited that place. If you realize.
Appu's marriage.
That's
that
right.
was about 15 years ago.
That's right. And no, that is the time when we realized that Jnanananda Swami stayed there.
Correct, correct.
But this connect between Jnanananda Swami and the lantern thing
That came
is
to
something
like
that early in the morning, because as a sage, as a saint, they always get up at the Brahma Muhurta for their meditation and what have you. And they always had the habit of living close to the nature.
correct.
So it is quite possible that he came, he saved us, and maybe that's why we went back to Tapovanam, became a devotee and what have you. So this was one very stunning revelation. The second stunning revelation was I was searching on the Google and I found that there was a bhajan group with about 20-30 people who had actually visited Pandharpur in Maharashtra, and they were returning and they came to Chennai, and from Chennai they were actually going to Rameshwaram and this Rockfort Express, as it was called. So they had all boarded this train in the unreserved compartment, and so that is where we happened to be there, and all of them were Vitthal devotees. And this entire community was called Badaga community from Karnataka. So I called up Badaga community, the place in Karnataka, and I was stunned to hear that yes, they all belong to that place, and there is a temple built in their memory, and a culvert is put in the place where the accident took place.
Oh,
And that culvert says Panduranga Bhajana Mandali.
oh,
So I was stunned beyond words for a few nights thereafter, as you know. I couldn't sleep. And what a strange coincidence. How your life took a turn. And Vitthal is a god, is a deity we would have never heard of in a place like Trichy, or for that matter in Bombay during our times. But at the first year itself, Swamiji met us, and the first year itself it was destined that you are going to sing his name. So that was a stunning revelation, and I would say my entire life, till then it was always a question of mysteries in your life as to why did you change course so many times. Even getting married to you was something very, very extraordinary, I should say.
Yeah.
So the connect was with Vitthal was established just as I was 1 year old, and just almost kind of going to die, and somebody saves you. So the Guru saves you, and the Guru takes you to the God, and tells the God that here is a child who dedicated his life to you, you are saying. And these two stunning revelations changed the entire course of my life. And that's when I realized that whatever I am, professionally or otherwise, but the ultimate purpose of this life is to dedicate oneself to that greatness of Vitthal, greatness of Pandharpur, and then it became a life journey. So here you are.
how was Trichy then?
Well, Trichy,
I understand even the cars used to come on the platform and the taxis used to come.
well, that was actually Chennai Egmore. In Egmore station, you had parallel to the platforms, you had a road. So when we used to travel from Mumbai, so we will invariably take a mail or something like that, reach say Chennai Central, and from Central take a taxi with all those luggage on the top. And those days you had a lot of luggage to carry. You had to carry a hold all,
Yes,
you had to
yes.
carry even your
Sleeping
pots,
bags,
sleeping
water
bags, and what
bottles.
have you.
And
So a
all
lot of
the
luggage.
pots, the water pots.
Absolutely, Surai,
Surai.
as you call in Hindi.
Yeah.
So with that taxi load, we used to go straight to the outside the compartment. So you didn't have to travel, you didn't have to engage a porter. So you got into the train, and when you get down at Trichy, of course, all your people came to receive you. So it was a very comfortable journey, and every vacation I would look forward to that travel. It was so filled with joy, fun, outside world, nature, peeping through the windows in the train. I would always insist as a child that I would sit on the window. So it was real fun traveling back to Trichy. But Trichy was a very famous location then, and I was told that the Uchipalliyar, the rock fort or the rock temple in Trichy, which is called the Uchipalliyar Koil, on the top above that mountain is a small Vinayaka temple, and so it's a beautiful place. Even one can visit it now. But I am told that that rock is at least 3 billion years old, because it's absolute flat surface all around, and suddenly you have a hillock
Means
stretching into the
geologically,
top, and so it was a Vinayaka temple. And then I knew that my name Ganesh Kumar was nothing but originally people had decided to name me as Ganapati Subramanian. Then somebody said, no, no, this is too old and traditional, you must make it modern. And I was named Ganesh Kumar. And I think in that year, nobody had this name. It was a very unique
yeah,
name,
unique name.
kind of a record by itself. So that was Trichy. So there's a big fort outside. There's a Teppakulam, which is a pond where all the festivities will happen. You have a central mandap in which the god is kept, and then the boat goes all around. It's a beautiful sight, all lit.
Does it still happen?
Yeah, still it's very much still in vogue, and you will have Nadaswaram and Tawil and the entire city assembled around the pond, and the god taken in a procession like that. So that happens in the Teppakulam, which is a pond. Almost all the important temples of Tamil Nadu will have a dedicated pond.
Yeah.
So this pond is plays a
And
big
elephant
part.
also.
Of course, elephant is a very integral part of any temple. So Uchipalliyar Kovil also had, you had to mount 3 phases.
Okay.
So from the ground level, you will climb a few stairs, come to a middle level, from there again climb a few stairs, and there was a big temple for Shiva, Lord Shiva. And the circumference of the Murti, the Shiva Linga, is about 3 meters.
Oh.
So you can imagine how huge it is. And so that Shiva is called Matrubhuteshwarar, because the story goes that he took the roop of a mother to ensure the delivery of a lady there. And her original mother could not cross the river because the river was in spate. So Shiva took the roop of the mother, crossed the other side, and ensured that the delivery was peaceful. So Matrubhuteshwarar. So he took care of the as a mother. So he is called Matrubhuteshwarar. So there is a big Shiva temple, and next to the Shiva temple is a Devi temple, and she is called Suguna Kundalambal. So a lady with a beautiful hair and a very fragrant kind of a hair lock, pinnal as you would call it those days. And so Tyagaraja Swamigal, it is said, that came there and composed a new raga, something related to Kundalambal, Kundalavalli or something which I don't recall. So that raga was composed there in that Sanadhi. So this was a Shiva temple on the second level, and then again you climb a few stairs, and then it is just an open area, and those even the steps are cut into the rock,
Yes.
and then you just reach the top, and that's where the Uchipalliyar. So that's Trichy.
Where is your house in there?
Well, we had 2 houses. My mother's house, I mentioned about Ganesh Shastrigal. So he was a very important member in the society. He was also a jury member. He was the headmaster of the National High School, plus a very respected kind of a person. He drove tradition, he drove culture, and fairly 6 feet tall, very fair, with that turban on the head, and even just as you see him, people on the road would fall at his feet and take his Ashirwad. So this was one house which was just below the Uchipalliyar Kovil, and I'm told that that's where I was born. And my father,
father's house.
yeah, that's the mother's house.
Yeah.
And then the father lived in a place called Varayur Pandamangalam. Again, another surprise was in store for me. Till then, I just thought it's an agraharam. Pandamangala agraharam is just an agraharam in Tamil would mean that you have all these houses in a row, haram, like a mala.
garland.
And so all the Brahmins of that city or a village or whatever will live in that agraharam, and it's a row of houses, maybe stretching for about 2 kilometers. And our house was just in the first house, and it has a Bhajana Madam built by our family, and an Anjaneyar temple again built by our family. So that's where my father belonged. My father, I think, lost his father very early in age, so he was kind of brought up by his mother, Lakshmi Pati, and a lady who was very stern and strict, whereas my mother's side were all filled with compassion and love, and my father's side ensured discipline, ensured timeliness, ensured that you were always good in your studies, ensured that you would do all your rituals in the morning, and my party would give me milk only after I have completed my set of shlokas in the morning. So all that we see today is all that training in your When people kind of disciplined you, they structured your day. And so I'm extremely thankful that you had two extremes, one filled with love and affection, the other one filled with regimentation, where they were very strict to you.
Military
Not that they did not love you, they also loved you, but they never showed it. So it was the father's
expression
side.
of love was in different form.
Yeah, true. And they thought that by showing too much love to the child would get pampered
Yeah.
and get spoiled. In fact, that is what we see in today's societies. The child needs to be loved, but the child also needs to be disciplined in various things, because as the child grows up into a man or a woman, they need to live their life successfully. So I think I got the best of both, and that was Pandamangalam, and this side was the Uchipilliyar. It was a lane called Pandiyam Pillai Chandu, and that's where we had a huge house. So my
How many
tatas,
times did you go there?
oh, hundreds of times.
Like
Every school vacation
or-
is there. It's
Okay.
kind of fixed. One
Whose
day
house
before.
will it be? Your grandfather's, the father's side?
No, my
house or
father's
mother's
house, except for my party. Of course, that was also a big house with a lot of terrace. So we used to make fun in the terrace, and all those terraces were connected to each other.
side? Oh, yeah. Correct.
So you can imagine in the childhood days when you want to play a game or something like Chor Police or something. So you will cross over the entire 2 kilometers on the top itself. And when it is lunch time, as a child, we would have forgotten all about lunch and all that. So my party will scream from the bottom, Kumara, come here, you have to have lunch. But it was fun. So my father's top terrace was used to put all these vadams and appalams and all that. So that is what I remember vividly now. But my mother's house had a lot of relations. They were always filled with people. And because I was the kind of, what shall I say, a blue-eyed boy who was saved from an accident and all that, so I had a very special treatment. So my chittis, my mother's cousin sisters, my mother was a single child. She was like you, she was a single child of the parent, very pampered and always in comfort because everybody took care of her. My grandfather was very, very affectionate to her. My mother was also the party also was very affectionate, Subbalakshmi party. So you had this bunch of chittis, the bunch of cousin sisters who would always want to give me something. So somebody would call me, without anybody knowing, give me a glass of milk, and somebody would say glass of more or taire, or somebody would call me and say, I have made some kesari, so you must come and eat. So it was filled with that, filled with a lot of attention. It was exactly the opposite in my father's house. There was no attention, you had to fend for yourself. And I must tell you this, in that house, we even had scorpions.
Where?
In my father's house, because in the Agriharam, it was actually a little away from the city limits, and we had a lot of scorpions. So I would be told, don't sleep in this room, don't go and sleep in that room, don't climb the stair or stool, you will get bitten by a scorpio. And it really happened once, not to me, but someone else who didn't listen to that advice and put his hand between two things kept on top of an almirah.
That reminds me, there is a story, right? Ganapati's never.
That's a funny story about Haridas, which I will come to much later. But the scorpion bite is something that's terrible. And once you are bitten by a scorpion, the next 10-15 days are terrible. You will be always writhing in pain. So this was the beauty of both the houses. In this house, you had all the material comforts because it was a big house. You had several rooms and you couldn't go and sleep anywhere. Whereas in my father's house, it was like disciplined, very structured, and they didn't have electricity those days. So you had to use a hand fan even if you want to sleep. And so it was fun on the whole. And you never realized how that 30 days went about the vacation, then came back to Bombay and then get back into the normal
So
stream.
when did you actually move back to Bombay?
No, like I said, immediately after the accident, my father decided that no, nothing to do with Trichy. We will all live back in Bombay. And by that time, my father was very successful in his life, and he was heading a large cotton textile mill in Cotton Green. So we had a bungalow in Kurla. So it was only the vacations that we went to Trichy thereafter.
So your party, that is your father's mother or mother's mother or mother's father, they stayed with
They
you?
were all there in Trichy.
Okay.
So in fact, that brings me to another matter. Whenever we go for vacation, my father will make a big list
Yeah.
of items that he will carry to be given as gift. So he will say my party to kavi saris and the other party 2 3 chains, and to my tata some, the textile mills had those dhotis those
Correct.
days. The mill dhoti was far better than what you used to get in the interior.
Yeah.
So that, and some bunions and some pencils and some rubbers, and he will make me do that listing, what is to be given to whom, how many numbers, and all that has to be packed properly in a separate petty, as
Yeah.
we call it. And that was a gifting petty.
Yeah.
So in that box you will keep all the things which you are going to gift as you go there. So that will be taken care of, and it was under my charge. So I felt like a hero. And as I used to enter the house or something, they all know that I have come with a lot of stuff. Of course, I had no authority to distribute it, that my father would do, but I was a custodian kind of. So from that time onwards, I have been a trusted custodian. So I used to carry that petty
This
very
was what,
proudly.
at 5 years, 6 years age, or
I would say about 8 years,
okay.
7 8 years. That is time when you start remembering what you pranks you did, what mischief you
So
did.
what was the school? Where did you attend? Mumbai
The
or
school was at Sai. No, it was all in Bombay. I was put in a school called the People's Welfare School, a very middle class family school in Sion, which is just one station away from Kurla. And the school was another big chapter by itself.